The summer road trip had been planned for months. 4 friends, each looking forward to one last escape before the burdens of adulthood pulled them in different directions. There was Alex, the self-proclaimed planner and leader of the group; Ryan, the jokester who never took anything too seriously; Sarah, quiet but sharp, whose eyes often sparkled with mischief when you least expected it; and Emily, the sensitive one, always a little on edge, but loyal to the end. They piled into Alex's beat-up but reliable SUV, armed with snacks, music, and the exhilaration of the open road. Their destination, a secluded cabin deep in the mountains, far from the hustle of city life. The first few hours of the drive passed uneventfully. The highway stretched before them, like a black ribbon cutting through the vast countryside. They laughed, sang along to the radio, and talked about their plans for the weekend: hiking, swimming, maybe even telling a few ghost stories by the campfire. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange glow over the horizon, and everything felt perfect. That is, until they missed the exit. "It was supposed to be right here," Alex said, squinting at the GPS. "I swear it said to take the next exit." "Maybe it's up ahead a bit," Emily suggested, though her voice held a nervous edge. "We've got time, right?" "Yeah, but we're kinda in the middle of nowhere," Ryan chimed in from the back seat. "I haven't seen another car in like an hour. How do we know we're even going the right way?" The atmosphere in the car shifted subtly, but Alex shrugged it off. "Relax, guys. Worst case, we turn around. It's not like we're lost, just a little off track." They kept driving. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky bruised purple and red. The road ahead seemed to stretch endlessly, flanked by dense woods on either side. After another 20 minutes, Alex's brow furrowed. "Okay, something's not right," he muttered. "We should have passed at least one exit by now." Emily stared out the window, her hands clutching her phone. "Can't you just use the GPS to find another route?" "I'm trying, but it's not loading. No signal out here." Alex's voice betrayed his growing frustration. Ryan leaned forward, peering through the windshield. "Wait, is that?" His voice trailed off as they all saw it, an exit ramp up ahead. Finally, Alex let out a relieved breath and took the turn, following the winding road off the highway. But when they reached the bottom of the ramp, instead of a new road, they were funneled right back onto the same highway. "What the hell?" Alex exclaimed, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "Did we just—" Sarah began, but no one finished the thought. The highway looked the same, exactly the same. Same trees, same road markings, same eerily empty expanse. "We must have gotten turned around somehow," Ryan said, though he didn't sound convinced. "That's impossible," Alex snapped. "There was only one way off, and this road doesn't even loop." They continued driving, but the further they went, the more the creeping sense of wrongness took hold. The trees on either side seemed darker, the shadows longer. Emily fiddled nervously with the radio dial, but all they could get was static. "Try calling someone," Ryan said, his usual humor replaced by an edge of anxiety. "No signal," Emily whispered, glancing at her phone. "None of us have service." Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. They saw another exit ramp ahead, and with a sense of growing dread, Alex took it, hoping against hope that this time it would lead them somewhere else. Anywhere else. It didn't. They were back on the same highway, the same stretch of empty road that seemed to mock them. The realization hit them all at once. They were trapped. Somehow, impossibly, they were stuck in a loop, driving the same endless road over and over again. "This can't be happening," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This isn't possible." "It's got to be some kind of trick," Alex reasoned, though his voice wavered. "A glitch in the GPS or something. Maybe the road's under construction and—" "Alex, look!" Emily screamed, pointing out the window. They all turned to see it, a figure standing on the side of the road, illuminated briefly by the headlights as they sped past. It was a man, or at least it looked like one. His face was obscured by shadows, but his posture was unnatural, as if his limbs were too long, his head cocked at an odd angle. He didn't move as the car passed, just stood there, watching. "Did you see that?" Ryan yelled, his voice high with panic. "Yeah, I saw it," Alex replied, his knuckles white on the wheel. "I don't know what the hell that was, but I'm not stopping." They drove faster, the tension in the car thick and suffocating. Minutes passed, and then again the same figure appeared on the side of the road. This time, closer, and now they could see more. His clothes were ragged, his skin pale, almost translucent. His eyes, dark, empty sockets, seemed to follow them as they drove by. "Jesus Christ," Ryan shouted. How is he? How is he ahead of us?" No one had an answer. "Just keep driving," Sarah said, her voice trembling. But the figure wasn't the only thing wrong. The road itself seemed to change. The trees lining the highway became twisted and gnarled, their branches curling like claws reaching out to snatch them. The air inside the car grew stifling, thick with the smell of decay. "Something's wrong," Emily whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "Something's really wrong with this place." Another exit appeared, and with grim determination, Alex took it again. But this time, as they merged back onto the highway, they saw something different. A car, an old rusted sedan, sat abandoned on the side of the road, its windows smashed, the door hanging open. As they passed it, they saw what looked like dark stains on the seats, blood. "That wasn't there before," Sarah said, her voice barely audible. "Just keep driving," Alex repeated, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. But the longer they drove, the worse things became. The figure by the road appeared more frequently now, always closer, always watching. The trees bent unnaturally, their branches snapping in the wind, even though the air was still. And the road itself, was it narrowing? Twisting. It felt like the world around them was unraveling, reality itself breaking apart. And then they heard it. A faint, rhythmic sound at first, barely discernible over the hum of the engine. But it grew louder. A thumping, a pounding, like footsteps, but heavier, coming from the roof of the car. "What is that?" Emily cried, clutching her seatbelt. Alex floored the gas, but the thumping grew louder, more insistent. Something was on top of the car. Ryan unbuckled his seatbelt and leaned up to look through the sunroof. "Oh God," he whispered. There, crouched on the roof, was the figure, its face pressed against the glass, grinning. A twisted, grotesque smile that stretched too wide, its teeth jagged and broken. "Drive faster," Ryan screamed. The car lurched forward, the engine roaring, as Alex pushed it to its limits. But no matter how fast they went, the figure remained, its eyes, empty pits, boring into them, its hands scraping against the glass. And then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure was gone. The car sped down the highway, the sound of the engine the only thing breaking the silence. But they were still trapped. The road still looped endlessly, and now something was wrong with the sky. The stars above seemed to flicker, dimming and brightening in irregular patterns. The moon, once full, now appeared distorted, as if it were melting, oozing down into the horizon. "I can't do this anymore," Emily sobbed. "We have to stop. Please, we have to stop." But where could they stop? There was nowhere to go. No towns, no gas stations, not even a place to turn off the road. Just the highway and the oppressive, suffocating darkness. And then they saw it. Up ahead, blocking the road, was the same car they had seen before, the rusted sedan, now parked directly in their path, its headlights flickering on and off. Alex slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop just in time to avoid hitting it. "What the hell?" he shouted, looking around frantically. But the car was empty, or so it seemed. Ryan opened his door, stepping out onto the pavement. "We need to check it out. Maybe there's something in there that can help." "Are you insane?" Sarah snapped. "We're not getting out of this car." But Ryan was already walking toward the sedan, his hand gripping the flashlight from the glove compartment. The beam of light cut through the darkness as he approached the vehicle. The rest of them watched in tense silence, every breath shallow, every heartbeat loud in their ears. Ryan reached the car and peered inside. His scream echoed through the night. Alex leapt out of the SUV, running toward his friend. He reached the car just as Ryan stumbled back, his face pale, his eyes wide with terror. Inside the sedan, slumped against the steering wheel, was a body, or what was left of one. Its skin was shriveled, pulled tight against bone, and its eyes, hollow, empty sockets, stared out into the night. But that wasn't what had made Ryan scream. The body. It was wearing Ryan's clothes. The realization hit them like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just some random corpse. It was him, dead, decayed, as if he had been sitting there for years. Alex grabbed Ryan's arm, pulling him away from the car. "We have to go, now." They ran back to the SUV, throwing themselves inside and slamming the doors shut. Alex floored the gas again, the tires screeching as they sped down the road. But it didn't matter, because no matter how fast they drove, no matter how many turns they took, the road never ended. The sky grew darker, the air thicker, the world around them twisting into something unrecognizable. And the figure, the thing that had been following them, was no longer standing on the side of the road. It was inside the car. They didn't see it at first, but one by one, they felt its presence. The air grew colder, the darkness deeper. And then, from the back seat, a voice. "You'll never leave." They turned, but it was too late. The figure was there, sitting between Sarah and Emily, its face inches from theirs, its mouth twisted into that same grotesque grin. And then, in a voice that sounded like the wind howling through dead trees, it whispered, "You've always been here." The car swerved, the headlights flickering, and then everything went black. When the highway patrol found the SUV the next morning, it was parked neatly on the side of the road. The engine was dead, the doors locked, and inside, sitting in the front seats, were 4 bodies, their faces frozen in expressions of sheer terror. The officers never did figure out what happened to them. But sometimes, late at night, drivers on that same stretch of highway report seeing a figure standing by the road. Tall, pale, with empty eyes and a twisted smile, waiting.